The following podcast has been rated NWDJ for naughty words and dick jokes. Viewer discretion is advised. And welcome to Popcorn Chicken, the podcast that's going to run a little contrary to Rotten Tomatoes today and its opinion of the Wonder Woman movie. Joining me, as occasionally, is Wilson. Say hi, Wilson.
Hello, everyone.
So before we start, I did want to say something. We had a new, like a rating thing come through in the front of the podcast today. That is not like, oh hey, I wanted to debut it on our movie podcast, but it's not particularly because it's a movie podcast that we gave this a rating. On the Space Chicken episode that we did about VR, that me and Scott did about VR, you were not on it, Will. Right?
Mm-mm.
You had texted me. Did you watch it?
No,
Yeah,
I haven't watched it.
You don't support our own stuff. Anyway, listen. So we started off with you saying that, man, Wilson texted me that he wanted to do a 5-minute video today. I said, no, I want to do a podcast. And then I guess he's telling me to go fuck myself and stood us up tonight. That's how I started the podcast, right? So underneath it, of like the 20 people who bothered watching it, one of them was like, I turned it off the minute you cursed. The minute you said the F word. I've got kids. I guess you don't talk before you speak. And I was gonna go into the YouTube comments and be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? This is a grown-up show for adults."
Savage. Did you put it as explicit?
Yeah. The channel is marked as explicit. Like
wow.
I don't know if I marked that video specific as explicit, but I believe our channel is marked as explicit. Either way, look, I don't. None of that
person
matters.
Wasn't paying attention.
So now, right, in case you're scared of words, right, in case you're on the internet. And you're like, oh my god, if they curse, I'm going to feel the need to comment on the video instead of just moving on with my life. Now I have a nice little warning label before the show starts so that everyone can feel good about the language they're going to hear. Be aware, I might say the word cunt. I don't know. That's just who we are on this channel. We will curse. This is a grown-up...
You have no filter.
This is the grown-up alternative for everything. So we're going to be the the technology show that's grown up, right? That's just dudes talking, and then we're gonna be movies that is just dude talking. Like I've never been for mass consumption, no matter how large I am.
I can dig that.
Not gonna like the taste.
Just two dudes having a conversation.
That's it. That's it.
With beards.
Good beards too.
Good beards.
Very virile, fucking beards. Anyway, so Wonder Woman, right?
Yes, Wonder Woman.
Here's the thing. I thought it was bad. I thought it was a bad movie, dude. I didn't like it.
Wow.
I didn't like Wonder Woman.
From you.
I watched it.
I'm in shock.
I was like, what a bad movie this is. It wasn't a terrible movie. It wasn't a terrible movie, but and I don't feed into hype. Like I'm not that guy who's like, oh my god, everyone said this is great. I have to see it. Right? I was going to watch this movie anyway because I wanted to see Lady Captain America. Like, I wanted to see Lady Captain America. I thought it was going to be awesome.
Okay. All right. So far, I'm with you, other than the part that it was, like, horrible.
I didn't say it was horrible. It was a bad movie. It was bad.
Okay.
It was bad.
I thought it was all right.
That's a rousing endorsement.
I am not with the folks, as yourself, that swore up and down that this was like the unicorn that you needed to see before it went away somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
Because they were like, oh my god, this thing is wonderful. You need to like go to the movies like right now and watch it. No.
I am going to have you convinced this movie's bad. I can feel it. I feel like I'm going to sway you. You're on the fence. You're already on the fence as to whether this movie was good or not.
I completely agree with you in that I did not go into this movie thinking this was Captain America for DC. I left the movie thinking this was Captain America for DC.
Oh, how could you not? The preview literally made it look like Lady Captain America. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would be totally down for Lady Captain America like I was totally down for Lady Thor, but...
I stayed away.
Okay.
I stayed away. Like, I just can't watch trailers anymore. They just ruin movies nowadays.
Oh, dude, and I want to talk more about it at the end because this is gonna fizzle out because it was such a bad movie. But the Ragnarok trailer was hot. Anyway, listen. So let's say what it did well. Okay.
Okay.
Although it wasn't necessarily something they did well in this movie, just something they did well generally. I feel like they nailed the look of Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Yes.
they did a really good job with that.
Yes.
Overall, I feel like they're nailing the look of everyone lately in a lot of these comics. So I feel like they nailed the look of Superman, even though I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like the Superman movies either. Um, I thought Ben Affleck is a good Batman,
Affleck.
but good Bruce Wayne, right? Like him as Bruce Wayne. He's a
I,
very
I give them
convincing,
both. I give them both.
Bruce Wayne. She's a tremendous like Wonder Woman as far as the conversion from the comics to like a human incarnation. It's something they've been doing a lot lately. Like they've been nailing it. They nailed Captain America. They
Yeah.
nailed
Yeah.
Thor. They retconned Nick Fury in the comics to make him look like Samuel Jackson, so that worked out too. Even the last two Spider-Man,
Yeah.
which again I didn't see a Homecoming yet, and I wasn't a fan of the Spider-Man movies generally, but they also nailed the look of the Amazing Spider-Man. So they had that going for them, and that's about the last part I liked. We have they do the origin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she comes out, and I guess there's a few problems for me. One was the overall story arc, right?
We were supposed to be talking about the good stuff first. But
No,
go on,
we're done.
go on.
We're done. All of
That
the
was
good
it?
stuff was that she looked like Wonder Woman. That's
Oh my God.
100%
Okay.
of the stuff that was
She
good.
looks great.
The action scenes were cool. The action scenes were cool.
They put a lot of effort. Other than the last act, I thought everything
The
was
last
great.
act was like most of the.
It was like straight CGI that was like, whoa, no human could. All right, whatever.
She's not human. She's a god, but I have a problem with that too.
That's
So,
true, yeah.
the story arc was just garbage. Like it was felt lazy, right? A lot of what they did was lazy. Her like I grew up on an island separated from the rest of humanity. Naiveness felt lazy. Her entitlement, since she was the princess on the island, the Amazonians or whatever, felt lazy. I mean, they did some like references to back then, like the dynamic of men and women, whatever. That felt like that didn't feel explored enough. Like it was, hey, there's a strong woman, and it was like, all right, we immediately accept her, pretty much. Like she punched a dude, everyone go back to drinking at the bar. It was very bizarre. So that felt like and there's of course the problem is that you have a 3-hour movie in which you're doing like her origin and then her coming of age in the same film, right? And it was a pretty lengthy film. I think almost 3 hours. Definitely in the high 2.5 hour range. So they did her coming of age. Then they did it, and then it just started with these weird tropes where, all right, so she's gonna fight Ares, right? And Ares is a god of war. And she's like, I have to find Ares and all this stuff. But then this really lazy twist at the end, and Ares was actually the British guy. Spoilers. The British guy who was helping them or whatever.
Supposed to be good.
And then it's two very hilarious things happen. One, when they put his skinny British tea drinking head on that super muscular body, and it looked totally out of place. Right? That was hilarious. But then it was like, when I met you, I thought I could have killed you immediately. But then I didn't because the dark side. And I was like, are we shoehorning in a jet? Like, there was no character development for Ares. So all of a sudden, why he would be invested in turning Wonder Woman against normal humans blew my mind. I'm like, why?
Other than he saw this wonderful woman come inside and into a room and tell a bunch of men in suits that they're assholes.
But
That's it.
Even shenanigans on that, because when she goes to stab him with the sword that she thinks is the God Killer, and then we're gonna get back to that in a second, and disintegrates it, and then he goes, "The sword's not the God Killer. You're the God Killer." Not a direct quote, but eventually they get to that point where he
It sounded
reveals
pretty
to her
accurate.
that she's the one she's the weapon, not the
Mhm.
sword. So you know that she's the weapon and the sword's not the weapon, but something dark side, like that's where you went with it. Like a nuclear bomb walked into your office and you're like, maybe I could get the nuclear bomb on my side, as opposed to just dismantling the bomb and saving
Yep.
yourself, like designed to kill you, and you're like, I could kill it before it realizes its power, or
I have a lot of problems with that.
we could shoehorn in 2 hours of movie, right? We could
Yeah,
have a plot
yeah.
device. You want a plot device? Lazy
Yeah.
writing. That's fucking lazy writing, dude.
So I'm with you the whole way. It was very lazy. I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now before the comments start rolling that I don't know very much about Wonder Woman. I am not one of those closet people that come out and they're like, I've been following Wonder Woman since 1915 when issue 1 was first. Like, no. Like, I know nothing about Wonder Woman. So I'm like, Ares, like, what? Gods? I don't remember gods in DC. I watched a lot of Batman, Superman. The gods? I have no idea what they're talking about. So I went along. I was very confused at the beginning because it seemed like she was getting older. And I got it, like the Amazons age differently in general, but she's supposed to be a god. So she got older quicker while everyone just kind of stayed still.
Now, so I get they time lapsed her to adulthood, and then I guess
Very
the thing is
quickly.
that the magic keeps them all young. But speaking of,
Okay. And
let's go back. By most of the rules of Greek mythology, not a god but a demigod, because they made it sound like the
Hercules kind of
Amazonian
thing.
woman is a human, whatever. That aside, that leads me to another lazy piece of writing, right? Super lazy. Zeus comes down, right?
Mhm.
Leaves a baby in a person, not just like on a sidestep. That baby is the god killer in order to stop Ares later, right?
Yeah.
And the woman, who's the mother, the woman who's been charged with the safekeeping of the weapon, does everything she can to make sure that the weapon isn't ready, because she's protecting her. Like, that's another like lazy cliche thing where it's like, oh, we don't want her to fight because then she'll fight and she might die, and it's like, well, theoretically, this person's a weapon, like a living weapon. The understanding that I left the movie with is that she was created with the intent to kill Ares. That's her entire existence is hinged upon her killing Ares.
Mhm.
So it's like, hey, here's a knife, and you're like, I'm never gonna sharpen it, and I'm gonna hide it forever.
Mhm.
I know it's made
Even
for
though-
stabbing.
Even though she told her all of the stories and told her everything that the God Killer was supposed to do and all that stuff, and how they were guarding it and essentially ready to use it, but they didn't train her.
Yeah,
And then she got pissed off at the lady who was trying to.
Yeah, her
Like,
when,
get it
when
together.
her aunt was training her, all of a sudden
Yeah.
it became a big problem, which
Mhm.
is so weird. And then at the end, without 100% confidence that she's properly trained, because all she did was stifle her training, keep her naive, and not expose her to the world. Go, there's a lot of things in the world you don't know. But that's it. I could have prepared you, but fuck it. Get on that boat. I'll see you. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Deuces. Have
Yeah.
fun. Cross the magic force field. Hope everything works out. Also, horrors of war. And I was like, oh,
That's it.
how
You're on your
lazy. I can't get this movie felt lazy. Like
I think my
it
favorite
felt
part.
lazy, like if it was a team of people, right? And there was like special effects fight guy, right? And then writing, like special effects fight guy is pulling a sled
Uh-huh.
that's holding writing, but writing is 300 pounds.
Doesn't work, man.
No.
Mm-mm. So my favorite part of the entire movie was the German guy playing peekaboo. He like stuck his head in and he's like, "Whoa, what the hell?" Like, now there was fog, Now there's sunny.
Oh yeah,
Now
yeah,
there's
yeah,
fog.
yeah, yeah.
Now
When
there's
they
sunny.
got to the island and there's that stupid force field around it.
Yeah.
So, other things that bothered me, right? So, her power set wasn't defined, right?
No.
I mean, you go in like what you know pop culturally from Wonder Woman, right? You go, she's got a sword, she's got a shield, she's got a lasso, she's got brace, the
Yeah.
I don't want to call them bracelets, bracers, whatever. She's got those, and depending on if you're campy, an invisible jet, and depending on if you're like newer Wonder Woman, can fly, right? Because Wonder Woman can fly in the newer
In the new one, yeah.
in the newer DC stuff. She just because it makes
So-
more sense.
so
than the invisible jet.
Boom, right there, right? That's where my knowledge came from. So when they introduce her as like this demigod, I'm like, that's not the Wonder Woman that I remember. I remember her like having a super strong sword, super awesome shield. You know, kind of the what's the Black Panther crew that
Wakanda.
yeah. But what's that thing that they mined? That
Vibranium.
yeah. So I thought, that's she's got the shield that's like vibranium, the sword, so they can't necessarily
again,
be destroyed kind of thing.
here's something that happens, like, because remember, all the comics were not in the same universe when they started, right? They were standalone stories that eventually merged into giant universes. So she was Amazonian, and then her story arc takes her through that mythology in the comics. I'm not like a super Wonder Woman lore person by any stretch, but her lore does go back to, and even that makes things hazy for me as a reader, because it made it hazy for me in the movies, and this is like Batman v Superman was such a travesty of a movie that now we got to go back to this, and it's ruining this movie, right?
Mhm.
What happens at the end of Wonder Woman?
Well,
Hold on.
I think. Hold on.
What happens
I
at
think
the end
it's
of Wonder
helping.
Woman? No.
Okay.
At the end of Wonder Woman, who does Wonder Woman fight?
Ares,
And what is Ares?
a god.
Okay, and Wonder Woman is who? The God Killer?
God killer, yeah.
Why the
Demigod?
fuck did Superman have to die then? If she's literally a God Killer and she literally fought a god, why does Superman have to die and Batman? All of a sudden, like when you end up with ambiguous power sets, right?
Very true. Very true.
Demonstratively different power sets, and that's the problem, right? Like, I'm not talking about, oh hey, in the comic books, I saw her in a movie scream, make fire, and kill a deity.
Yeah.
Right? A deity that was strong enough to kill all of the other gods, right? Because that was his
Zeus.
story. His background was killed all of the other gods,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That you needed to make a weapon that incubated for a very long time, trained or didn't train on an island, and had to get mad about her boyfriend dying to unleash his fucking super duper power.
And
then all of a sudden, it's like, nah, Superman has died.
It really, the ending of the movie was very confusing. I get it, you watch it in animes, you watch it in cartoons, someone dies and then all of a sudden they go God mode and whip the other person down. But she went from doing a shield with her braces to creating a shield around herself to controlling electricity that was shot at her and then shooting it back. And at no point whatsoever did they really get down to what exactly was she. Like, how do you do all those things and then have trouble with what was the one in Batman versus Superman, Doomsday, or yeah, like, how do you have trouble with that guy after having all of those powers?
Well, first of all, you have to remember that she didn't have trouble with that guy. She just kind of like didn't take a plane and showed up. And by the way, Batman looks even sillier in that trio now, right? Right. You have a space god,
Yeah.
right? You have a real god, and
Yeah.
you got a dude with a gun like, I'm Ben Affleck. fucking cooler than both of you. But I'm just Ben Affleck with a kryptonite gun too. Like no, they weren't. No, there were no kryptonite bullets in there, which was
No, they weren't. No,
that's a Batman v Superman discussion. So now that again retroactively that scene looks dumber because it's like really why is he there? Like
yeah,
you know
This
he can outsmart Superman or whatever, but
this is way out there.
Yeah, it creates it, and now what they get that for me what they're gonna have is a problem in Justice League, because I'm like okay, so now we're gonna go to Justice League, and my expectation is that Wonder Woman is a god.
Yeah,
right.
She
that
should
is
be able
now
to take
my
care of everyone easily.
Right, and I don't think they're gonna have that. Like I think they're gonna make all of it plausible because she got stronger as the movie progressed, right? I mean, she started whatever on the island, and then there was that part where they did like the shield thing, Diana Shield, and she jumped off the shield, and all of a sudden she could blow up buildings.
Yeah,
just by being next to them, and they built up her power set, but now, you know, what would we say, 60, 70, 80 years later? Can't do math. Anyway, you know, she's in Metropolis, and she can't just bash through a goddamn building. Like, they hinted at none of those powers. Yeah. And also, giant... Why is she rich? Why is she rich now? Like, she lives in a very nice place. She has very nice dresses. She drives around in very nice cars. So someone get me from World War II to rich. Is that one of her powers? That she can be like a Lady Bruce Wayne? Because she's kind of like rocking life like a Lady Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Not explained. And I know probably for some people it's like, you know, just, you know, whatever. But all that stuff ruins continuity for me. Like, it takes me out. For the record, still the best DC movie so far.
Yes,
in this new post-Christian Bale Batman reboot, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm on record, and if you haven't seen the other ones, I thought Ben Affleck was a good Batman. I'm on record, good Batman movie, terrible Superman movies. I know there hasn't been a Batman movie, but the Batman parts of Batman v Superman were better
Very good.
than the Superman parts of Batman v Superman. Or the Lex Luthor parts of Batman v Superman, or anything that happened
in between
that didn't have Batman on screen. Except for the dream sequence and the Flash thing. The dream sequence and the Flash thing was shitty.
Very random.
Or whatever. And then on record that Suicide Squad was fucking terrible. Suicide Squad was more lazy writing. Suicide Squad was the laziest comic book movie that I've seen since this, we'll call it comic book movie renaissance that we've been experiencing. The Hulk movies were meh. But it's bizarre, and people were like, DC finally the adoration for this movie. I thought this movie was. Oh, the more I talk about it, the more I dislike it. Does that sound weird? Does that? And then you go, it's whatever, and then you just start going, oh, that's ugly, and then you go, oh, this part here, and then that part, and then I think I'm starting to hate this. Good, bad, awful. It's sliding down the scale for me. Still the best one though. That's not...
Is to like the Avengers or Captain America or Iron Man or anything like that. I think they're literally just comparing this to this is fantastic. But if you get down to, you know, the movie itself and just looking at it for what it clone with very poor writing, because there was times that you're watching this movie and then it's like she only throws it once, and then you're kind of like, Oh, okay, okay. This is not Captain America.
And again, I just you know everything feels rushed. Um, she was the main character of the. Overall, that there was an arc to her development by the end, versus it's her being naive to her experiencing the horrors of war. You know, it helps to be a god, I suppose. You know, she didn't have a shield. You know, and she wasn't fighting people who like they tried to like shoehorn in like PTSD guy. You know, they tried to shoehorn in here's the ragtag. But the difference, of course, being that this ragtag really didn't matter, right? They were more of a vehicle to explain how. And the Suicide Squad, they sit down and go, "Here is my backstory, haha." Care.
Kind of like
people left, but what else am I gonna do? Yeah, I help people for money, but in a good way. It's like, like what? Like what? What
it was
what are we
interesting
about?
group of folks that they introduced.
I disagree. They're boring as fuck.
There was nothing there. Nothing gave you that sense of why should I care that they're even part of the journey.
Yeah, it's too much, and then you know to get through this stuff they have to. You know, you still have the set pieces where there's tons of action, and all of a sudden it's like we've got a day for a beer, even though like our job is to go kill Ares, but we have to make you care about us. And then it's like, well, you failed to care, but you've added 15 minutes to your runtime. Like,
by the way, the entire way I was with that guy that she fell in love with, I guess. In which he's like, haha, she's talking about Ares and I don't think that guy exists. But sure, okay, whatever. We'll run with this so you can, I guess, come with me to the battlefield because I just met you, and that's where you want to go, kind of thing.
Yeah. That was kind of weird because like you make the deal to start so that you can get off the island, but then it became you know the other plot device that justified them staying together was the gas, like the super mustard gas that they were trying to do, because without that there is no reason for them to continue on just halfway charade of helping. Although you just reminded me of the other problem that I had with Ares being the main bad guy. It's that you don't see Ares at all. You see Miss Poison. Right? Lady Poison.
I really thought that was Ares. Like
lady. I knew that was
getting
Ares. I knew it wasn't Ares. I'm like, you wouldn't do that. Like it's too lazy. He's getting high. Like he was getting high to like get fucking jacked up.
Yeah.
I did think that they were gonna have some epic battle before Ares rolled up when he was jacked up, and it wasn't an epic battle. It was kind of really shitty battle.
Yeah.
So, but you're more invested in those two as villains, right? Because I again, it's one of those things where, you know, part of what makes Batman so cool is that his enemies are cool, right? So you end up with Wonder Woman and she's fighting these two, and you're like, you know, there's genuine like, oh, she's fighting for the purity of good, and they're literally fighting for the sake of being evil. And you're like, all right, this will come to some type of culmination. Nope. Killed that guy with no problem because she's a god, right? Again, when Captain America fights people, he has super strength and agility and accuracy, but he's not a god, you know? He can't make fire from his hands. It's why you need Thor, who is a god, right? And then, you know, you need Hulk, who's like a god, essentially, in strength to kind of balance the team out. But his bad guys, he fights like the Winter Soldier. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah,
guy is a regular guy, robot arm, and it's like robot arm versus super strength. That makes sense. Equals. She's so beyond. Like her, like they're gonna make a Wonder Woman too. They've already greenlit it because this thing fucking made tons of money, right? I think it's the most successful DC one so far, critically. Who the fuck is she gonna fight? Right? Because I can't. No, I need a bad guy now. She killed a
we're gonna
god.
have to dig into the
relatively
lore.
easily,
Yeah,
by the way, too. Like I can't get past that.
Yeah.
That fight was not an epic battle. It was a lot of dark side this and dark side that, and throw a tank and mess with you and try to break you, and then I shoot some magic at you. You block my magic and kill me. Right? That wasn't even an epic fight at the end.
What broke that whole thing for me was the weird cuts that they were doing. So they cut to the guy. So, all right, she kills the not Ares guy, right? The dude that's getting high.
Yeah.
She kills him on top of whatever the hell they're fighting at. And it cuts
like
to the guy that's the supporting character, whatever. And then it cuts back to her. And then all of a sudden you see Ares and they're like having a conversation. All of a sudden he's got like super speed like he's Superman. So she kind of like goes into the room. He disappears. He's like outside. Okay, that makes sense. And then it cuts because she's now outside and she's like, oh, I don't have the God Killer sword with me. It cuts. She jumps down. So she jumps up to the thing, jumps down and has the sword. And I'm like, wait, what? This makes no sense. So the dude waited for her to jump to the roof and then jump back down with the sword to then go to her and then just destroy it? Like,
any reason for Ares not to have killed her at any other point is inexcusable, right? It is 100% that moment when they captured people. And I'll give you a prime example. John Wick, right? The first one. I didn't see the second one. The first John Wick. I love that movie. One scene alone took me out of the movie completely. When they capture John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
They capture John Wick, and instead of putting a bullet in his head, they decide to give him a little monologuing, leave before confirming he's dead, and give him the old suffocate by plastic bag. Instead of just putting two in his head at any moment. This dude is literally often, dudes. It's that same. It happens in movies all of the time where the protagonist gets captured instead of killed. Every step along the way, there are people shooting. There's incentive to kill a protagonist, and then all of a sudden, the moment comes where one can be murdered, and then it's like, let's talk for a bit. I'm gonna tie you up, and let's talk. And stuff like that feels out of place. And again, we had a character who's been told done all this stuff, hasn't been shown it again, so we're not invested in Ares. As a matter of fact, throughout the movie, they half want you to believe Ares isn't even real, right?
Yeah,
like I feel a part of the movie is trying to convince you that this big Ares twist at the end, and I'm like, well, we're gonna see Ares.
Nobody,
but again, they would have been. So for me, they would have been better suited for Ares not to have died. Maybe Ares to feel overmatched and leave. You could have a reoccurring character in the next movie or something. And I don't know, man. It's
I thought
lazy.
They could have just
lazy.
Let the dude get high. It would have been a great battle, epic. And then Ares kind of shows up at the end as the end credit scene, and he's kind of like laughing, like, haha, what a sucker you are. Boom, set up for Wonder Woman 2.
Yeah.
Like, it was, so that ending, hold on. That ending kind of reminded me of watching The Amazing Spider-Man 2, in which they build it up so Spider-Man fought the electric dude, and then all of a sudden they were like throwing a bunch of evil dudes on the screen, and you're like,
the
wait,
Rhino shows up.
Those rhinos here?
Yeah. So I think that's it. Here's my conclusion on Wonder Woman. All right, easily the best DC movie to come out so far post Christian Bale Batman, right? So both Christian Bale Batman, where they're like, we're gonna make a shared DC universe, like by far, right? So much better than Batman v Superman. So much better than Superman. Did not like Superman. I honestly I found that movie boring.
It's long.
Suicide Squad was another bad movie, and I think that's why this was so like beloved, right? Because
good
compared to those, like the bar was so low that this was like, dude,
just a little notch, just
bro, we hit mediocre. We did it, team, mediocre. Woo! So
celebrations, pop the champagne right now.
Yeah, so I mean that's what it is. I mean, let us know. Maybe we're wrong. Again, I feel like I'm in the minority. On that,
still opinion. Think it's a good movie.
Yeah, I don't think you do though. I don't think you do. I think you're brainwashed and they're going, "Well, it's a good movie," because I mean, you know, we didn't have Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, so it's a great movie, but whatever. So. This has been Popcorn Ticket. I've been Danny. That has been Wilson. That was a terrible movie. The Wonder Woman poster, which I can't point to. There we go.
Is that one?
Boom! Did it. Point to the movie. Point to the movie. Like, comment, subscribe, share. More importantly, share us. Tell people about us, and let them know ahead of time that we curse.
Look at that drunk chicken right down there.